Thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a lot of questions, I'm sure, and it's been a challenging over a year. 2020 was crazy, and 2021 is having its challenges as well. But we're just so grateful to have you part of our Anteater family. And my name is Lauren Walker. I'm sure you've seen many emails from me, and the screen shows my wonderful team. Christina Johnson leads the way, and she's a great mentor. I'm sure you've seen her name on things too. And then Kevin Crabb, who you'll also meet during this event. He's wonderful, and he is great with parents and helping with our parent executive board. And if you ever have any philanthropic questions, he's your guy. So definitely contact him if you're interested in anything philanthropic. And we have a wonderful event for you tonight. Sorry for the hiccup, but I hope we're back on track here. We have a full house of panelists featuring Edgar Dormitorio, who's an alum and also the chief of staff for the vice chancellor of student affairs, Archana Sheth, who's also an alum, and she's the associate director of the International Center. We have Say Lee, who runs the ISEP group, so International Student Excellence Program. Chuck Adams, who I'm sure that he might be the most popular one answering questions tonight or this morning for you guys, but he's the administrative director for the Student Health Center. So he knows everything about vaccines, different mandates. He's your guy. And then we have Pimjai Santatiwat, who's the assistant director for international outreach within the Division of Admissions. And I know you guys already know that UCI is incredible. And we're just so grateful. Your student could have chosen literally anywhere in the world, and they chose UCI. So we are very grateful. But I did want to quickly highlight some pride. So UCI is the number 8 public university by US News and World Report, which I think is a very big deal. UCI is constantly on lists every year, and we're getting further down the list, which is actually a good thing, closer to number 1 in a lot of areas. So we're really excited about that. And something a lot of people don't know is that our medical center is actually very prestigious and quite important to the campus. And it is one of America's best hospitals. So that's quite a feat. And we actually are building a hospital on campus, which is exciting and something very new for us. And I know you guys have a lot of questions regarding important dates and deadlines. So Kevin will speak to this a little bit, but this time might be a little bit difficult for you. I know it's a transition time for your students. So typically I'm sure you were very involved in their high school learning, maybe even early college if they're transfer students. But now the ball is sort of in their court. So they receive all the emails with the dates, the deadlines, the tuition bills, all the things. So they really, this is their time to shine and take responsibility for their academic career. So here is a list of important dates and deadlines. We'll also share this in a thank you email too after. So stay posted for that. And you can take a picture of this slide too to keep handy, because I know things get lost in translation with students. And then our office is really busy. So we love to engage parents. We have different philanthropic opportunities as well as volunteer opportunities. So one of the things you can do if you'd like to create your own UCI journey is join our board. Kevin is leading our parent executive board, as I mentioned, and this board is comprised of about 30 families with all different interests and professions. They range from doctors, lawyers, there are some teachers, like just all across the board, very well represented. But something that isn't well represented is our international family population. So we would really love to expand the board and fill some of our spots with international families to really give a lens to your needs and really have us learn more about what you guys need to succeed and what your students need to thrive. So we really want to get your voice on some things. And then events you can attend virtually or in person. I promise our events they don't usually start like that. They're usually a lot smoother. But we do have coffee socials. They used to take place in person regionally throughout the world, which was exciting. China had a huge base of followers for their coffee socials, and we even have them in India. And we just want to expand, and we want them all over the world. And so we're thinking maybe in person, maybe virtual, but we're going to see. So we'll send you invitations and you can plan accordingly. And they're hosted by parent volunteers. So if you're interested in meeting other UCI parents in your area, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to have you host. And then Anteater Family Weekend is taking place this fall. It typically takes place during the spring quarter or late winter spring quarter during the homecoming festival. But this year we're trying something different, and it will take place December 10th and 11th. And we will have a virtual component specifically for our international families. So stay tuned for an invitation for that. And then volunteers. So our Anteater Parent Ambassador group is incredible. That's how some of our volunteers joined who are helping in the Chinese breakout room. And these volunteers actually host the coffee socials. They translate documents for us. They are on career panels. It's honestly whatever you're interested in doing and however you want to give your time back to UCI, please reach out to us. We'd love to learn more about you and your interests and see how we can work together. And then lastly, supporting the Parent Campaign for Student Success. UCI is in a $2 billion campaign right now, and all of the funds to the Student Success Campaign go directly to support student funds. So this is like wellness, just directly supporting student funds, which our students need a lot of support, especially during these tough times when we need to pivot and really focus on different things, focus on mental health more. There's food insecurity, things like that. And then here is just a brief event cycle. I kind of went over these already, but just to show what takes place during which quarter. And so you guys will be receiving a coffee social email probably in about a month, asking you to save the date and sign up. So that is something to look forward to. You'll also get more information about Family Weekend. And let's see. And we really want you to get and stay connected to our office. We post a lot on social media. We send out an international newsletter curated specifically for international families. So please, if you haven't already filled out our parent information form, please do so. If you're on that list, you will receive these invitations, you'll receive the newsletter. You definitely don't want to miss out on any important news that your student might forget to send you. And so here's all of our contact info. And with that, I'd like to send it over to my colleague, Kevin Crabb, who can speak more to what he focuses on at UCI.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I appreciate that. And thank you for all of the amazing information that you've been able to share. Welcome to all of our parents and families. I've been seeing people join from all over the world. So we welcome you all to this Anteater Welcome Reception. And we are all so excited to have you here. As Lauren mentioned, my name is Kevin Crabb, and in my role at UCI, I support the engagement of parents and alumni, helping them become more involved with annual programs as well as campus initiatives, through a variety of different areas such as mentorship opportunities, volunteerism, and also supporting philanthropic priorities. And so I would just like to, again, thank you all for attending our Anteater welcome reception. The turnout has been incredible. Our international event, along with all of our other ones, has been amazing. And so thank you to all the parents. We're so excited to share so much wonderful information with you as you begin this new journey with UCI, and welcome you to our Anteater family. And so we want to be able to share as much information with all of our parents and families as we can. And over these past few months, we've received a ton of questions from our incoming parents as you start a new journey and something so new. We understand there are a lot and lots of questions. And so while we try to acknowledge everyone's questions, we did our best to take all of those questions that have come in and compile a list of topics based on the questions that we have received. And so you should be getting an email shortly if you've not already received it from our parent and family engagement team. And that includes a list of these topics. And in this list, it will include some website links that you can visit to help answer your questions and receive the appropriate information directly from the resources around campus. If you have registered for this event within the last 48 hours or so, you may not have received this email I am describing right away, but don't worry. We will be sure to share this important email with everybody who recently registered in the upcoming days. So please stay tuned. You will be receiving that email. You should have that email in your inbox by midweek at the latest. And please check your spam and junk folders as well, just in case that may have gone to one of those folders within your email. It's also very important for parents to continue to have great communication with their students regarding their ZOP portal. Our students will receive different updates and important dates to know through this platform. So please have that great communication with your student. It's very important. I know during my time, I was not always very forthcoming with information. I had to have it kind of pulled out of me a little bit. So please stay on top of that as best as you can. It will be really important with some of these dates that are upcoming. Our parent team at UCI primarily focuses on engagement, volunteerism, and philanthropy. And so while we love to provide as much assistance to our parents as we possibly can and help answer any of these questions that you may have, we really are only able to share the general information that we receive from the contacts at these same campus resources that we've provided you with. So in order to help speed things along for you so you can receive that information you're looking for sooner, we recommend reaching out with your questions directly to the contacts that are provided within these links in the email that will be sent out or that you've already received. So these contacts within the different resources around campus will be able to share with you the same information that they would be able to share with us. And so you'll be able to receive that information directly to yourselves. And this will cut out any lag time or delay in reaching out to our parent team, and then us reaching out to that same contact and sharing the information with you that we received from them. And so we really, truly appreciate your understanding in this. And if you have questions, please look to that resource email first. If for some reason you cannot find it within there, let us know and we'd be happy to help you. But that will be your first resource in looking through that email as well. And so thank you so much for your understanding there. And then lastly, as Lauren mentioned, regarding the Parent Executive Board, families have been graduating off of the board this past June, and we do have some vacancies we're looking to fill. We specifically would love to include some international families and have representation on the board from those families. So if you are interested, please email me with more information. I will post my email address in the chat for you to take advantage of, and you can email me. So thank you for that. And then with that being said, I would now like to introduce you to the panelist portion of our event. Each of our panelists will speak about their area of expertise and their own unique experience with the university. And so I would like to proudly introduce our first panelist, Edgar Dormitorio. Edgar Dormitorio is the Chief of Staff for the Division of Student Affairs at the University of California, Irvine. In this role, he is responsible for assisting the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs in managing the division, which includes the areas of wellness, health and counseling services, auxiliary services, and student life and leadership. The Division of Student Affairs is the campus's largest division and is dedicated to supporting students' well-being and fostering their growth. Prior to serving in his current role, he was the Assistant Dean of Students and Director of Student Conduct at the University of California, Irvine for 7 years, where he was responsible for managing the campus student disciplinary process. His experience include managing high-profile disciplinary cases involving a range of student behaviors from sexual assaults to working with students with mental health issues. Edgar has served in a number of student affairs positions at UCI over the past 21 years. And with that being said, we would like to welcome Edgar Dormitorio to speak to you all now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin, for that introduction. I've had the great pleasure of, as Kevin said, being on the campus for the past 21 years. I think it's 22 years now. And so I'm always thrilled to be here and welcome and congratulate all of you for being anteaters or coming in the fall to be anteaters. We would consider you anteaters already as we're preparing you and your student for the fall. First, I do want to acknowledge, I know that we had some technical difficulties earlier, and just for the sake of transparency, this is not how we planned things would go. There was a plan in place, and unfortunately we had to pivot very quickly and come up with this plan using the break rooms. That was not the way we wanted to do it. But we had to try to come up with this quite quickly due to some unforeseen circumstances around translation. So we appreciate everybody's patience and thank you so much for sticking in there with us on trying to get this to work. I do see there's a lot of questions in the chat. We'll try to get to them, and I want to thank my other colleagues here for paying attention to those questions and trying to get them answered for all of you. I did have some remarks that I wanted to share, so I need to try to get to them here before giving you, or before turning it over to some of my colleagues. You know, as I mentioned, I'm thrilled and that I could be here, and I want to congratulate and welcome all of you. I want to give you a zot, and I'll explain what that means later when we get a chance to do it all together. So, you know, I think you should be extremely proud of your students' accomplishments, and we want to thank all of you for being part of your students' educational journey by getting here to UCI. We're honored to have you join us in the fall, and we're excited about this opportunity that your students will have while at UCI, and the doors that this experience will open for them after they graduate. I do want to recognize some of your concerns and feelings as we start this school year. It has been a difficult journey for the past, I think, 18 months, a year and a half, something along those lines. It feels longer than that. This pandemic has been, of course, very difficult, tiring, and confusing for all of us. While the Delta variant is a major concern for us, we certainly are monitoring the public health situation in the region in Orange County as we continue to try to move forward with our opening plans. Obviously, I have to put a disclosure here that, you know, things can change, as we know, if the public health situation warrants it, and we are preparing for those changes. You need to know that your student safety is our primary concern. We're planning for a variety of scenarios, and if we need to pivot in order to maintain safety and health of our community, we will do so. What's going to happen this fall is that we are planning to welcome all of the new students this fall with a variety of events and programs, including our new student convocation. So new student convocation is a welcome event with the campus leadership, which also includes the chancellor and the vice chancellor, provosts, and other dignitaries on the campus. The event will be followed by a welcome event from the dean of their school. And so students will be invited to attend a welcome event from their dean. And then following that event, they'll be invited to attend the Anteater Involvement Fair. And this is where students will have the opportunity to be exposed to different organizations. They'll have a chance to be involved and engage with clubs and organizations on campus, activities, and other experiences on the campus. So I really want to encourage students to take advantage of those opportunities when they're on campus. I didn't explain earlier that the Division of Student Affairs oversees most of the experiences outside of the classroom. So we certainly value the students' experience in the classroom. Students need to do well academically, but we also want to make sure there is a balance in terms of their co-curricular experience on the campus. So all these events and activities that are taking place, that week is known as Welcome Week. And we encourage students to participate in all the activities to meet new students and discover what the campus has to offer. So I know that I've done a few of these talks in the past to students that are part of our international community. And there are oftentimes questions that come up, which are themes. I think one of the concerns is always around campus safety. And so we're fortunate to be one of the safest cities in the country. And so while crime is relatively low compared to other campuses, I do want to remind students to be vigilant. Our biggest issue on the campus is property theft. So students sometimes have a sense that because they're in Irvine and on the college campus, they may be a little bit lackadaisical about maybe leaving their laptop in a place unattended or any of their devices. Sometimes they forget to lock their doors. And so unfortunately, we've had some incidences where students might forget to do those things and unfortunately lose those items. So I do want to remind students to be vigilant when they're on the campus. And then finally, as a reminder, one of the things that's not on that list of things to do is for students to upload their vaccine record. And there's a deadline that is coming up, and that's September 6th. So we want to encourage students to do so. If you're having difficulty locating a vaccine in your home country, we do have a service on the campus which will help students locate a vaccine wherever they're at. So I want to encourage folks to contact that number if they're having difficulty. The number is, and I'll post it in the chat here, 949-824-2300. Again, 949-824-2300. Or there's also an email that they can email at contacttracing@uci.edu. So we'll put those in the chat for you to be able to see. And with that, I want to congratulate all of you again. I'm going to stick around here and maybe try to answer some questions on the chat, but I think I'll turn it back over to Kevin. Thank you so much. And I think I'll see you actually a little later on in the presentation. So I'll hang tight.
Thank you, Edgar, so much. It's always great to hear from you. And I feel like I just learned some new things during your update. So thank you. Okay, I would love to introduce our next panelist, Archana. So she currently serves as the Associate Director of the UCI International Center and has worked in the field of international education for 14 years. As Associate Director, she assists with the management of the International Center to ensure quality services and programs to the international population and campus partners. Her focus is on providing guidance and ensuring students available resources to understand immigration policy to maintain compliance during their time in the U.S. She strongly believes that the diverse cultural backgrounds of international students bring to UCI contribute to a greater and more enriching experience for all students and society at large. Archana is a proud Anteater alumni, and I'm thrilled that you guys will get to hear from her. So please take it away.
All right, thank you so much for that warm introduction. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. I can't say enough what a challenging year it's been for our students who are ready to come to UCI, for our students who have been learning remotely abroad over the past year. We are all doing our best to navigate a lot of unknowns. So I'm so grateful for the patience and understanding all of the questions coming our way. I can definitely say that all of my colleagues here are doing our best to address the concerns as we get ready for this fall quarter. So I want to highlight a few things about the International Center. We oversee, so in my role, I oversee the student advising staff at the International Center. And so our center primarily assists students who are in the F and J visa categories. So maybe you've already heard from our office, your son or daughter or student has received their immigration document, hopefully successfully has gone through the visa application process. So we're here to support with all of those services. I can definitely say that one very exciting aspect of our job is that we get to interact with students well before they get to UCI. We are with students through their whole program. Navigating immigration in the US can feel stressful. And so I want you all to know that we're here to support students, to address concerns. Situations will vary from student to student. And so our advising staff really does take the time to talk with students, learn about what their situations are and how to navigate moving forward. Sometimes that includes connecting with our colleagues across campus. So I definitely want you to keep in mind that you know, it doesn't stop at the issuance of an immigration document like an I-20 or DS 2019, that our work continues with the student, but with them through their program. And then for those students who choose to participate in some type of work authorization after their program, we also continue to support students well after graduation. So please feel free to direct your questions to our office. We're here to support you. Some of the services that we're providing to students are definitely one-on-one advising. We know that sometimes that conversation is very helpful. We also have drop-in sessions. We do short, quick sessions every Tuesday and Thursday right now at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So if you have quick questions, I certainly encourage your student to pop into that, so to have that interaction with staff, so that we can help navigate what a concern or question is. We also collaborate a lot with our campus staff. So we have events and workshops happening year round. I do want to highlight a couple of courses that I think are really beneficial for the beginning stages of time at UCI. So I'll highlight that in just a moment. But I just want to share that if there are concerns about immigration, if there's anything, please put your questions in the chat box. I will do my best to address anything that's come up recently. But for fall, I do want to highlight that we understand the transition. I think everybody will be going through transitions this fall. And so something that we do have every fall is a course called ISEPs. We consider that like an extended orientation, meaning that it's a 10-week course. It meets 1 hour per week during fall quarter. And we introduce students to campus resources. So I think the one benefit of this class is that orientation is amazing. It's a great experience, but the beginning stages of being at university can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of information. And so the benefit of joining the class is to kind of slow that pace down and get some direct FaceTime with campus colleagues that can introduce solid resources for a student to navigate the campus community and what resources are available that they may be interested in. So I highly recommend looking into ISEPs. We have information about that available on our website. I will share a link in the chat. And then we also have English conversation program. This course is for helping with adjustment and talking about relevant topics that are happening in current times, current events. It's also 1 hour per week. It does pair a student with a conversational English partner to just get comfortable talking, learning jargon. I feel like there's so many slang words that sometimes students don't know. And so it's just a great way for students to meet other students. And it's fun and there's course credit involved. For this coming fall quarter, we're going to be offering both in-person and remote options so that it's available to all students. And then this coming welcome week in September, we're also going to host a series of events that are currently being planned out. So that information will be available on our website. So there's a mix here of services from our office that are very immigration related. If your student is not currently F4J, but is thinking about transitioning to one of those visa categories, please also reach out to our office. And I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that is, I want to say, the main highlights of our services, which is immigration based, but also programming to allow students for adjustment and the opportunity to meet other students.
Thank you so much for sharing. Again, I feel like I learned a ton right now. You guys do so much, and you're a great resource to these international families. So thank you so much. All right, now, now we are moving on to our next panelist. Our next panelist is Sei Lee, and Sei has previous experience teaching multilingual students in the Global Languages and Communication program and composition programs at UCI. Her current research interests include literacy development and the college experience of multilingual students and the issues around biases and stereotypes of this population of students. Other topics of interest are issues of equity for underrepresented faculty in higher education, student evaluations of teaching, and learning analytics in remote learning environments. Her work has been published in the Journal of Second Language Writing. She's interested in and very passionate about helping each student get included and engaged in the campus community, irrespective of their various backgrounds and identities. As program director, Sei oversees the International Peer Group Scholars Program, known as IPG, and Global Leaders, while facilitating faculty connections and collaborations across campus. She earned her BA in psychology and MA in English language and linguistics from the University of Arizona, and her PhD in education from Claremont Graduate University. Here is Sei Lee. Oops. Oh.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sei Lee. Thank you, Lauren, for the wonderful introductions. I am very pleased to be here to introduce you to two extracurricular programs just designed for your students. So let me begin by sharing what ISEP does. ISEP offers two support programs for international students, and these two are peer mentoring programs, which means that your student will be paired with one mentor throughout the whole academic year. And that mentor will be providing your student with a lot of different kinds of support. So the first year program for freshmen is called, as Lauren said, International Peer Group, short for IPG. And the second year program for sophomores or above is called the Global Leaders Program. So let me describe each of the programs offered. First, the IPG Scholars Program. There are many benefits for your student to join. First, there's academic support. As much as you are concerned with your child's academics, we provide your student with academic support as well as social support from the peer mentors. So what that looks like is your student, as I said, is paired with a upperclassman with similar disciplinary backgrounds. So if your student is in math, we try to pair your student with another math majoring upperclassman, right? And so together they do check-ins, see how they're doing academically, emotionally, and so forth. I also check in with them as their personal guide and advisor. I check in with them to see if they have any questions about their academics or other things that they're thinking about, such as internships, research opportunities, just getting involved on campus with research activities or other clubs. Another great thing about IPG is that ISEP, my program, offers sponsorship for your child to get tutoring in 1 to 2 general education courses. So we cover the tuition cost of the tutoring for 1 to 2 subjects every quarter. So a student, hypothetically, if your child joins, they could get tutors for 2 classes per quarter. So that could be up to 6 classes. And we are seeing a lot of very high success rate in students who participate in the tutoring sessions with the tutors. Lastly, your student will receive a certificate of recognition from our very own Dean, Michael Denon, for their year-long commitment and participation in the IPG program. So again, this is designed for first years. So if you are a guardian of a first year student who's incoming freshman, please have your child look into this form to just kind of get a sense of what their major is and what kind of interest they have. The second year program, called the Global Leaders Program, also provides personalized academic support, but there's a specialized support they get, which is guidance in their research, right? So a lot of students, undergraduates, they're coming in or maybe not having the opportunity to engage in research. But as you know, UCI is a research institution, tier 1 research institution. So early on, your student will get exposure to the research culture. And this program really helps them kind of get a sense of what it takes or what is required or asked of when they are thinking about research oriented job or career pathways. Similar to IPG, the Global Leaders Program offers the same kind of GE subject matter tutoring to, as I said earlier, 1 to 2 subjects. They are also eligible to receive this special certificate of recognition called the Emerging Global Researcher Certificate, which is something that could accentuate their resume, make it stand out a bit more. And last but not least, the one exciting benefit that I wanted to share, which is fairly new, is your child, if they partake in the GL program throughout the academic year, they have an opportunity to earn an award, which is a $500 research startup fund. So $500 to get them started in whatever research project they come up with, right? So this is very encouraging for students who are just getting acclimated to what a research project entails. So at the bottom of my slide is the form to join the GL program. I will just skip over this slide, but if any of you parents or students who are on this call, if you're ever wanting more questions answered about the peer mentoring programs we offer through ISEP, please feel free to reach out. I do utilize WeChat. I do check email frequently, so please reach out if you have any questions. And welcome again. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Say. That was great information. And I saw some people, I saw some phones. So that's wonderful. They're getting your QR code. So we are going to move on. Oops. Sorry, guys. Okay, so Chuck Adams is our next panelist, and I'm so excited to introduce. Chuck is wonderful, and he's been on some of these international events in the past, and we're lucky to have him. He's great at answering questions. He has so much knowledge, not only in the healthcare field, but at UCI too. So Chuck is the administrative director of the UCI Student Health Center. He served in this role since January 2014. He possesses nearly 40 years of experience in healthcare administration, including medical group practice management, practice management consulting, including medical group formation and integration, hospital outpatient clinic management, university student health center management, strategic planning, business development, healthcare marketing and public relations, and physician recruitment, among so many other things. He received his BA in business admin at CSU Fullerton, and his MBA at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. So please welcome Chuck. Take it away.
Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate the introduction, and good evening or good morning, everybody. On the behalf of the Student Health Center, our providers and staff, welcome to UC Irvine. Congratulations to you and to your students for their admission to our university. We're very excited for this upcoming year. And so I'm going to focus on some very key important takeaways that are administered by the Student Health Center. And I've put some information already in the chat rooms. I can repeat that. And I know that Lauren can send out information as well, in addition to the recording. But I will try to highlight those key takeaways for you. It does involve some deadline dates as well. Edgar alluded to one of the aspects, which is the COVID-19 vaccination. I'll talk about that a little bit as well as we go along. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the UC Student Health Insurance Plan. So please note that all students are automatically enrolled in the UC Student Health Insurance Plan. It's a mandate for the university, has been for approximately 20 years. And what that means is that the fees for the fall quarter are integrated, they're incorporated into the students' registration and tuition fees. And that is what we mean by being automatically enrolled or automatically assessed. So if you have your own insurance, if your student has your own insurance and you wish to opt out, if you will, what we call waive out of UC SHIP, you must submit an application. You must submit an application online. And once you do that, once that is approved, then you'll see a refund, if you will, or a credit back on the student's ZOT account, their campus billing account, usually within about 7 to 10 business days. So that's how the process works. What I want to stress to you, however, is that there are deadlines associated with that waiver. So the first deadline is September 10th. So the waiver period has been open since July 26th, and it will remain open until September, the waiver portal. Please make sure that your student, if they don't intend to stay enrolled in UC SHIP, that they waive out by September 10th. There is a grace period beyond that for another month through October 10th, so that we do have a late waiver period. However, the student will be charged a $50 fee for that late waiver. If your student wishes to be enrolled in UC SHIP, you don't need to do anything. The students are already automatically enrolled unless they waive out. So I wanted to stress that in terms of the first key takeaway, if you will. Students will be assessed these fees every quarter, just as they are for all of the other tuition and other registration fees. They are quarterly assessed. The waiver is good for the entire academic year. So just keep that in mind. So every year at around this time, all students will be asked to go through the waiver process. Again, if they want UC SHIP, they don't need to do anything. If they want to waive out, every academic year at this time, prior to the start of the fall term, the waiver process, the waiver period is open. Students of the UC SHIP plan covers students all year round. It is basically a all-year academic year, 12-month program. So for instance, for new students this year, their first day of coverage is September 13th. And their coverage will take them all the way through September 18th of 2022. So it goes all the way until the last day prior to the start of the next academic term in the following year. And the insurance covers students no matter where they are, regardless domestically, internationally. It is a worldwide plan. It covers medical benefits, mental health benefits, pharmaceuticals, vision, dental, etc. Following my presentation, I will make sure to add some additional links to our website. But on the website, you can see all the information about the plan, the benefits of the plan, the cost of the plan, etc. And I will also put in the chat room the key email addresses that if you have any questions, that you can send those questions to, whether they are pertain to UC-SHIP or on my next topic, and that is the required immunizations that all students must comply with. The first group that I'm going to talk about are what we call they're the new student immunization requirements. There are 4 vaccines that are required, as well as a TB screening questionnaire. Everything that I'm about to talk about is handled by the student online. So every student has what we call an electronic health record chart with the Student Health Center. And there is a portal, a patient portal, a student portal that is linked to their electronic health record. And that portal is going to be very important, as I'll talk about, because it's that portal that the student will log into and will do a number of different things related to the Student Health Center. But one of the most important things that they'll do is upload their vaccination records. So in terms of the new student requirements and the 4 vaccinations that are required, as well as the TB screening, the students will log on to the portal, and it's fairly straightforward. They will follow the prompts and will upload their immunization dates. They'll answer the questions to the TB screening questionnaire. If one of the questions are yes, then they will be contacted by one of our nurses, because all that means is that a student may be at a high risk for TB, and so therefore you would need to demonstrate that the student has been tested within the year prior to UCI entry and so forth. So those are the requirements for new students. Let's move on and talk about the COVID vaccination mandate, which Edgar alluded to earlier. The deadline is September 6th for compliance. What does compliance mean? Compliance means that a student who is vaccinated has uploaded their COVID vaccination records to the portal. And we have a team that both at Student Health Center as well as the contact tracing and vaccine navigation services team that verify those records. So we go through a verification process, but the first step is for the student to upload those vaccination records. Once those are verified, then we will be able to communicate with our various campus partners, including contact tracing, et cetera, housing, other departments, in terms of the students' compliance status. So again, the COVID-19 vaccination is a system-wide mandate. The deadline to comply, meaning to upload your records, is September the 6th. There will be, and Edgar can maybe comment on this, but basically, as of now, there is going to be approximately 8 weeks following the deadline date, in which students, for all intents and purposes, it serves as a grace period for students. But just keep in mind that if students remain non-compliant, meaning that they have not taken any action whatsoever, they have not uploaded vaccination records, et cetera, then they would have an academic hold placed on their ability to register for winter quarter classes. That academic hold applies to the new student requirements as well. So any non-compliant student, toward the end of October, early November, we are going to be notifying the registrar for non-compliant students so that we can apply academic holds. So that's why it's very important that you make sure that your students comply as soon as possible with all of these requirements, these health requirements specifically, so that they are compliant. There are exemptions and exceptions that students may apply for, may request for. You can find that information out on the Student Health Center website as well. And I'll put that link into the chat room after my presentation. So there are some exceptions, but keep in mind that students that are not vaccinated and or even if they receive an exception or an exemption and they are obviously non-vaccinated, they will still be required to go through weekly testing on campus, and they will be required to wear masks. And there may be some other repercussions related to noncompliance that will be communicated to students on a regular basis. So keep that in mind as well. The last mandate that was just announced, we'll have more details in terms of when there will be a deadline, and that is the flu mandate. So the flu mandate, the flu will be mandated this year as well. The deadline date is to be determined, but based on last year's time frame, it's probably going to be on or around November the 1st. But check the Student Health Center website for regular updates for that deadline as well. Keep in mind that for the flu mandate, students must receive their flu vaccine after August 1st of any given year, because the flu variants change every year, so the vaccines change every year. So therefore, it's very important that the vaccine be received after August 1st. Otherwise, the student will not be compliant. The Student Health Center can administer all of these vaccines. We will be in a position to administer the COVID vaccine probably by the first part of September. Right now, we are able to administer all other vaccines. So if your students don't have a vaccine currently, please have them upload what they do have. And then what we will do in terms of the new incoming student for vaccination requirements, and then we can complete those when the student comes on campus, and you can make an appointment through the portal with the Student Health Center and get those requirements done when you arrive here on campus. So with that, those are the key takeaways that I wanted to mention. I will continue to add some additional information to the chat room and answer your questions. But again, welcome to UCI. Thank you for your attention, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chuck. That was very informative, and I think you actually answered some of the questions that are in the chat currently. So I did just see the flu vaccine question come up. So thank you. You were being proactive. And then finally, last but not least, we have Pimjai Santatiwat, who is joining us. She first arrived in the US as an international student from Thailand. She joined the UCI community about 10 years ago in the Office of Undergraduate Admissions and has over 13 years of experience working in higher education at both public and private institutions. In her current position as the Assistant Director of International Outreach, she oversees recruitment activities in Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan, Canada, Latin America, and Africa. She enjoys meeting and advising prospective international students and parents from all over the world. So please help me welcome our final panelist, Pimjai.
Thank you, Lauren, for such a lovely introduction. I know we're shifting gear a little bit because everyone here has already gone through the admissions process, but I just want to give you some interesting facts because you are coming into one of the most diverse group of students this fall. But also, I just want to take a quick shout out to all the students and families from Thailand because that's where I grew up. So hi, welcome. But just to give you a snapshot of what all of your students went through this past admissions, we received about 134,000 applications for fall 2021, and that's actually set a new record for us, solidifying our position as one of the most applied schools in the country. So that's really exciting. Out of that total, about 108,000 of those are the first year students that apply for this fall. And about 18,000 of those are actually the international students. These are all your students that applied, and that represents an increase of 700 more from last year. And so this coming class, we're seeing that students are from all over the world, representing about over 50 different countries. As you're looking at the non-resident students altogether, those that are coming from outside of California, we're also seeing a representation across 49 states. So you're coming into a very, very diverse group of students. So you must be very proud that they have accomplished so much, especially during such challenging and during uncertain times. So with a little bit of stats about the admissions profile, the median for the weighted GPA for our first year admitted class that was about 4.15. So that's really, really high, very impressive. For those that are, for the unweighted GPA, that's about 3.91. So your students did amazingly in high school, and that's why they're here, and we're so excited. And we cannot wait to welcome them in the fall. And again, there are so many countries represented, but some of the top sending countries that we're seeing this fall are, China, India, Korea, Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Hong Kong, UAE. So round of applause for just, being part of this group. With that said, I'm just gonna keep this very short because I wanna leave time for you all to ask very more pressing questions as you're thinking ahead and about enrollment, about this fall. But our office right now, Office of Admissions, we're now wrapping up reviewing the students' transcripts, posting AP, IB, A-level exams results. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask myself any questions. We also, actually your students have access to the UCI applicant portal that allows you or your students to send direct messages to their assigned admissions counselor. So we would be happy to hopefully answer any admissions related questions, or if we get any questions that are not admissions related, we would be happy to redirect them or help guide you to the appropriate offices as well. So, but again, thank you for your attention and your time, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Pimjai. It was so nice to hear from you. And yeah, with that, we will move on to our Q&A. I know we are running behind due to difficulties in the beginning. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I do want to answer some questions. So if the panelists can check out the Q&A, and please let me know if there's any questions that have not yet been answered. I see a couple asking about that UC ship policy. I think they've put the link in the chat a couple times. Oh, yeah, it was just added again. And we will add this in our thank you email too. So you'll get that next week. And then it might also be in the campus resource email that you should have received around our time, 7 p.m. This evening. So let me see, panelists, are there any questions that jump out to you that you would like to answer? Let's see. Oh, Chuck, I see a question that I think would be good for you. Let's see, Chuck, can you answer can you get the flu vaccine at the student center if you don't have the student health plan?
Yes, you can. The student health center is available to all students, regardless of whether or not they have the UC student health insurance plan or their own insurance. The only difference is we don't bill any other insurance. And so for those students who don't have UC SHIP, they basically get charged any fees to their ZOT account, and then they would pay through their ZOT account, and then they would try to get reimbursed from their insurance plan. That might be, depends on the plan as to whether or not they would reimburse. But the bottom line is all students are eligible for services at the Student Health Center, including all vaccinations. We can also do, if you don't have your vaccination records and you would want to do some blood testing, what we call titers, to demonstrate whether or not your student has immunity, we can do that as well. And that's very common because oftentimes vaccination records are misplaced and so forth. So that is one option. Rather than getting the vaccines, if you think that your student had the vaccines, then you can do the blood test to demonstrate that compliance as well. Just also keep in mind that any records that your students upload into the portal, they must be translated into English. So just keep that in mind as well. We can't verify them unless they're translated.
Thank you, Chuck. That was great. And then I do see a lot of questions actually about tuition. And I don't know if anyone is able to answer them. It keeps scrolling away. Go. Also, this is kind of a random question, but I've seen it a couple times. Do any of the panelists know if a student is a minor, international minor, and they want to open a bank account? Archana, do you have any experience with this? Have you heard of this before?
Sorry, I was just typing too. So if a child is a minor, I believe that somebody needs to be on the bank account with the student. We do include, I'll put a link to this in the chat as well, but with all of our students who receive their I-20s and DS 2019, we do have banking information in the new International Student Handbook, as well as payments about tuition and fees. We do include information about how international payments can be made. The campus has worked really hard on making sure that payments are secure because there's been so much, I think, fraud centered around payment, and it's a very large sum of money. So we do have secure payment methods available. I'll post this information in the link as well. But with the bank account, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it does need to be a joint account, or they may require a minimum balance in a bank account. Just to have it as if the student is a minor. It varies from bank to bank.
Lauren,
Okay,
also,
thank you.
yeah, I just wanted to mention too, for minor students, the Student Health Center cannot treat a minor student without the consent of the parent or guardian. So just keep that in mind. So we have the form is on our website, and just FYI. So if we don't have the form and the student shows up at the Student Health Center, and we can do this, and we've done it on occasion, we will try to reach the parent with the student in the exam room before we would begin any type of examination or treatment to get that verbal consent, and we would just document the verbal consent in their health record.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Okay, and then Archana, this one would be for you too. I've seen you a few times. Are there any problems or are there any delays with immigration right now?
I can't speak to delays very precisely because the delays are going to vary from country to country. And the reasons for delays can be variant as well. I would say that if a student has, one of the good things is for several countries, there was a proclamation that was preventing travel prior to August 1st. But the good news is now that we are past August 1st, and for those of you who have a student that has a document, if you can look at the I-20, it likely has a start date of September 20th. And so the entry to the US is allowed after August 21st. But the delays, it's hard to be very precise about that information because travel is greatly impacted in various countries. So the ability to even book a flight, could cause delays. In terms of applying for visas, our understanding is that many of the countries that have a big backlog are operating at pre-pandemic levels now because the US government has prioritized F1 and J1 student visa appointments over many others. And then other delays that could kind of come into play is just staying on top of what local COVID guidelines may look like in your home country. Delays coming to the US, it seems pretty forward. We just welcomed a group of students who started their program for summer session 2, which just began about 11 days ago. So students are able to travel, but it does vary from country to country. So it's just important to stay on top of local travel requirements. If you have specific questions that you think could cause a delay for your student, please have them reach out to us so an advisor can assess their particular situation and try and provide guidance accordingly.
Great, thank you. And Edgar, thank you so much for sharing the link to the housing important dates too. I know, well, I've heard that students should be receiving more information on their housing assignment and further details at the beginning of September. Correct me if I'm wrong, Edgar.
No, that's correct. Yeah, early September is when that information should go out, along with it being posted to the ZOT account. So look out in early September, the email for housing information, housing assignments, I should say specifically, and also the posting of the fee to the Zot account.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And then just to be respectful of time, I know we're already over. We could do one more question. And then everyone, please utilize our campus resource email. We've included links to essentially all of these areas. And this is where we would go to search. If you emailed us with a question, we use these links. So that's how we find out our information. Okay, let's see. Anyone see a final question they'd like to answer? Oh, well, here's Edgar, really quick. Are parents allowed to help students move in this year?
Yeah, they will be allowed to help students move in. There'll probably be restrictions with that. We didn't mention this earlier, but one of the things that has occurred over the past few weeks is that there is going to be a mask mandate, or there is currently a mask mandate for anyone entering an indoor location. So additional directions will be given to students and parents upon move-in regarding any of the requirements that we'll have for that.
Can I
Great.
ask you one quick one? My son get his 2 shot in Singapore for Pfizer, and your side is giving the 3rd dose. So if the student need it, will this school arrange for him for COVID-19 vaccine?
Thank you for your question. I put a response in the chat room. We are not yet requiring any booster shots whatsoever, any COVID booster shots. They're not required. We're not administering those yet on campus of the Student Health Center. If the student has a booster shot, that's fine, but I would just encourage you to make sure that your student uploads all the records, and they can upload the booster shot record as well, but it's not required at this point in time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think that's a good one to end on. So thank you to all of our wonderful panelists. You've shared such great information that I know our families definitely have found helpful, and you actually answered a ton of questions in your talking points. So, I mean, that saved us too on our time. So just thank you so much for being great campus partners and really welcoming our wonderful international families. Just a couple things before we go. Please save the date for Anteater Family Weekend, taking place December 10th and 11th. Currently planning for an in-person event, but we will offer, as I mentioned before, a virtual component for our international families. And then fall coffee social information coming probably in September. And then we are doing a revamp for our volunteer group, our Anteater Parent Ambassadors. So if you haven't signed up already, please check it out on our website. But members will be receiving information in late September regarding new opportunities and more just exciting things to look forward to throughout the academic year. Okay. And then now we will move on to a fun little closer, and I would love to have Edgar please teach us how to Zot, and just tell us very briefly what Zot is and all of that fun stuff, and maybe mention our mascot's name.
Lauren, thank you. Before I do that, I do want to thank all the panelists here for the time that they're spending this evening here on the, if you're on California time, along with Lauren, Kevin, and I know Amanda, who is behind the wheels there of the Zoom. So thank you for your time. And I also want to thank all of you for spending time with us and having patience with us as we try to explain the process for coming to UCI. This is a wonderful graphic to have because it explains it, very clearly. What is a Zot? The Zot is a noise that anteater makes. Actually, when it's consuming its prey, and what do anteaters eat? They eat ants, right? Makes a lot of sense. And so if I can have all the panelists join me in putting their hand out, and we'll do a Zot, 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 and give directions to our audience members. In example 1, you have your hand out. In example 2, you take your middle finger and your ring finger and you touch it to your thumb, right? And that you don't stop there because that's some sort of weird llama or other character. You actually pull your thumb back slightly. and that creates the snout of the anteater. And the sound we make is zot, zot, zot. So on 3, if I can get all the panelists and all the parents at home to give me a loud zot, zot, zot. 1, 2, 3. Zot, zot,
Zot,
zot.
zot, zot.
Thank you
Zot,
very
zot,
much,
zot.
everybody. There you go. Thank you,
Thanks.
everybody. But we're glad you can join us. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Edgar. Thank you, everyone, and take care. Take a picture of this if you want to follow us. And thank you to our Chinese parent volunteers for making the Chinese breakout session possible. So thank you again. Take care and welcome to the Anteater family.